name is Isaiah Washington IV. My occupation. I'm a man, a Renaissance man. I like to consider myself. Many people know me merely as an actor. But before that, former military. I'm a veteran. And before that, I was a huge football player in high school. State mentioned. But my interest now is more, I would say, an evolving entrepreneurial spirit. More looking forward to be a CEO of a consulting firm that will lead many emerging markets outside of the continent, particularly in West Africa, through other people that are interested in doing business in West Africa, particularly Brazil, the Caribbean, Asia, Southeast Asia, and what have you. So that's why I'm saying my occupation is evolving, because I'm really, really excited about becoming a CEO really, really soon. A company called Kira International Investment Group, which is my dream company. My children and my wife, not necessarily in that order. My day starts with them. If I don't make sure that they're safe and healthy and that they're getting everything they need, then it's very difficult for me to be what I need to be outside of the world. So my queen, my wife, she makes sure that she holds me down as soon as I get out of the bed in the morning, or when I go to bed in the morning. My day usually is almost an 18-hour day every day, 7 days a week. But I'm inspired largely by my family, because they allow daddy and husband to do what I do. Back in 1986, I put myself on a 10-year plan. Knew nothing about acting, coming out of already a first marriage and aerospace engineering background, working in the private sector. I had already achieved success, making $35,000 a year in a company. I already had property, nice cars, duplex, the first, big screen television, when it used to look like these big red and green and blue light behind this huge, ridiculous screen, walking around with a pipe and, throwing daiquiri parties with an ascot on, watching Miami Vice. I mean, I look like a total idiot, but, I had arrived. And, so that's why I always, when I look at people now being 49, going, man, when I arrive, and I laugh uproariously, because I'm like, dude, you never arrive. This book is very old. This is a biography that was written by David Levering Lewis, man, I think back in like 1990 or probably 89. I actually bought this just for a prop for this particular moment, just to keep it in the forefront of those who, I guess, want to know who my role model is now, as I discovered when I was 25. I discovered him when I was 25 years old. I didn't know who James Wright or James Baldwin, Martin Luther King, Ralph Bunche, Adam Clayton Powell. I didn't know who Malcolm X was at 25. I was 25 years old before I knew of any of these African-American icons, Barbara Jordan, even Mickey Leland, or Honorable Temp, or anyone in Langston Hughes. I didn't know. I was on this planet 25 years, and the only books I read was written by Danielle Steele and Tony Ludlam, because I'm former military, and Tom Clancy. So that was the only literature that I gravitated to, because those were the only role models that I had in my life, and that's all I watched them read. It was Tom Clancy novels and Tony Ludlam and Danielle Steele, which was very provocative, storytelling. But it wasn't until I entered late in my life, at 25 at Howard University, when I enrolled, that I discovered, a friend gave me a book called Autobiography on Malcolm X, written by Alex Haley. And then that's when the wheels started turning. And of course, I met a wonderful mentor that became my mentor, Eric Poe. And he put me on this track, on this trajectory, that really helped me really define who I am and the legacy of my community of people. Not just, post-slavery or post-Civil War or during the antebellum South, but more importantly, who we were as a people before we were enslaved or even colonized. And quite frankly, being, educated, and, I didn't get that inculcation at all. I wasn't inculcated with that. It wasn't, no one, Black History Month was somewhere over there, You know, February we talked about slavery, just one chapter, and then everyone just goes, okay, we did that. Let's move on. You know, it just wasn't something that was discussed in Houston, Texas in 1974, 75. And what I'm finding is they're taking out a lot of the schools in the state of Texas now, where none of the children will hear anything about the negatives of what happened during slavery in the Great American South. Because in their opinions, it brings out the negative aspects in those individuals' minds. But that's a horrible, horrible sense of censorship, because it's like saying, well, we know what the Protestant ethic is, and we know what manifest destiny is, but actually the Protestant ethic is, if I work very hard to kill off the Native Americans and make cowboy movies about it that make all Native Americans bad, John Wayne is good. You know, we don't say that he's a misanthrope or a bigot. He's John Wayne, and he's killing the Indians. So Indians are bad. John Wayne is good. Yeah, but you know, John Wayne plays a Green Beret and goes into the military, but he's not getting his leg blown off. You know, there's no rolling in the credits to show what happens to that Green Beret or that cowboy, to show what a bullet really does to a body, or what a bow and arrow really does to a body. You know, but that's what I grew up with. You know, we were all cowboys and Indians. And the Indians were the bad guys. And then to actually, you know, get educated and realize, oh my God, manifest destiny is terrorism. You know, that's what it really is. Because some group of people said, this is our destiny, and we're going to manifest it, but you're going to manifest it in a land that doesn't belong to you, and then put them on a reservation if they try to resist. It's really an offering, a testimony of my life that was actually forced out of me by my attorney. He thought everything that I had to say he thought was interesting. So he said, if you can put some of the things, your thoughts and your life in a book form, then maybe we can sell it. And, you know, I didn't really believe that, because I didn't really think the people were ready for my story, because it's very private, it's very sensitive. And for people who are attracted to it, it's very painful to know that there's something about society that makes you feel something that's not necessarily positive, empowered. So I knew early on that, you know, what I've learned in school or on my own, that my story is going to take a while before it catches on, because it's very sensitive subject matter when you're talking about yourself, or when you're dealing with issues of how you're being perceived in the world, or not. Worst case scenario is that, you know, someone loves you, that's fine. Someone hates you, that's fine. That's passion. But when they're indifferent, you know, that's deadly. When no one's paying you any attention at all, when you're completely ignored through media, then no one knows what's going on, like this place called Africa is. No one talks about it every day, day in, day out. You turn on the news, all we hear about is this jingoism called the Middle East. What is the Middle East? First of all, how can you be in the East and be in the middle? I always ask that question. It's like, wait a minute, hold up. Okay, East, West, North, South, middle. How can you be in the Middle East? You're in the middle, you're in the middle. What is this Middle East? I respect it, I understand it, but those who have power, you can call yourself whatever you want. Who's going to deny it? Jingoism. It works. Very powerful marketing strategy, and I learned from it. I got to respect it. You know, that's the business plan that I study. I study the business plan of slave holders. People ask me why I do speaking engagements and form plantations, because I learned. I want to know what they knew. I want to know what kept the people going somewhere off a small place called Great Britain. When you look at the continent of Africa and you look at Great Britain, you look at all the people on that continent and around the world, I'm just fascinated. But they had a great marketing strategy. We call it Great Britain. You know? Decided they're going to take over Ireland. Ireland said, nope, we're still going to be Ireland. We're still going to be these people. Can't have us, you know? But you have to look at that business plan. They were pretty eventful, man. Pretty strong strategy. You know, the British. Pretty ballsy. to go out and say, I'm going to conquer the world, all the way into Australia. How do you know how to rule like that? You didn't just wake up and know how to rule. You don't just wake up and learn how to be a mother. You have to learn. Someone has to teach you, even if you're children. That's not intuitive epistemology. You know, you have to learn how to rule. Where do they learn? Where do they get that from? And where are our books? Why do they burn so many? Where are they hiding? Why are most of our African artifacts in England, at the Louvre? What do they know that we don't? English is a very young language. Hindi is old. One of the oldest language in the world. Oldest languages, if not the oldest language on the planet. Creole, patois, all these things that we call Pig Latin, Pig is older than Latin. People don't even speak it anymore, but they still speak Creole. French was considered a language of peasants, murderers and killers and mercenaries. But now it's the most beautiful, sexiest language next to Portuguese. Why is that? Well, that's why I read these books, the ones that are not cast out or taken from us and burned. That's why I read W.E.B. Du Bois. And either he is not even a father of Pan-Africanism, it's Dr. Wilmot Blyton, Edward Wilmot Blyton. He is the one that influenced W.E.B. Du Bois. Okay, have you ever looked up the word great? What does it mean? We speak a language that, people are like wood, and wood, there, and there. It all means something different. Sell, and sell. It's very confusing. Very confusing. There's no language for giving up or torture or any of those kinds of words in any African Kiswahili. There's no negatives. There's no maybe or trying to in Kiswahili. In the African language, there's no maybe, no trying. You're either going to do it or you're not. There's no middle. There's no great. So where does great stuff come from? Who are these people making up these things and make it easier for them, but harder for you? And then as soon as you figure out how to make it easier for yourself, they change up the rules. I can't even play Halo anymore with my sons and let them listen because you got kids going, oh, he took my energy sword. I should betray him and get my sword. So you have kids playing now, killing their partners on their team so they can have what they want to win the game. So I had to have a conversation with my sons like, so how do you feel about that? Oh, Dad, that's horrible. You heard this kid that's on your team. You heard him tell his other 3 teammates because they don't know you. You're not talking to them. You don't hear. You hear them, but they can't hear you. Tell his other team members we should betray him and take his toys so we can do what we want to do. He's a 13-year-old child. And already he's going, wow. And I said, so how do you feel about that? He said, yeah, that's wrong. I said, yeah, but that's your peer. But what is happening in that child's environment that leads him to believe that I can do whatever I have to do to get what I want, when I want it, how I want it? What is that about? Where does that come from? And how do we return to this place of not necessarily innocence, but understanding who we are? And that goes back to DNA in my book, being a man from another land. We all are people from other lands. And then we have to look at the history of those lands, look at the behavior of those lands to understand why people are doing what they're doing, or even why they're thinking about doing it. Because DNA has memory. Look how Zulu died because Cecil Rhodes thought he had a better plan for South Africa. And even to the black now, you have even Clinton is a Rhodes Scholar. All these people, it's like, who created these marketing strategies to say that these Ivy League schools are the creme de la creme, and that you have to aspire to this. So when you get into those halls of being inculcated by this behavior, how are you surprised that people coming out of certain schools think a certain way? Are only interested in capitalism or rugged individualism? Why are you surprised? It worked for these kings. It works for these people over here, and they're rich. So I'm just trying to find a different way to get people to get back into themselves, but hold on to their humanity if they can.